Questions, believe it or not, guide most of your internal dialogue. When you're thinking, you're generally answering some kind of question. Now, did you say that question out loud? Out loud and loud? Probably not. But generally, you're thinking to solve some type of question, some question you have. Today, we're going to talk about the different levels that we think on and the questions that come from those levels, and the master key questions that'll work regardless of what level you're on. But first, who cares? I care, because I know that how I feel coming off how I think most of the time. If I'm not feeling directly as a result of a thought, I will be feeling the effect of a thought, because how I think and how I feel determines what choices I make. Them choices then add up. They make my life, and I feel some type of way about my life. So it doesn't matter what questions you ask, and you can come to ask them more consciously. Let's look at the levels from which you might be thinking and asking questions. Level 1, these are outside things. We've got places, people, and events. Other people can see them if they got eyeballs. It might even be something that you hear. And then between that and meaning is your interpretation. You wouldn't have that except for that you show up to these things with this bucket full of shit, which is the meaning that you think you can apply to things. Most of our meaning buckets aren't that great. They come from victim mentalities. They come from a culture that wants us to spend money because we think we're not good enough, or happiness is over there at that checkout line, or over there at that accomplishment. Level 1, this is something that you can talk and think about. Could ask questions about places, about people, about events. You could be thinking about those things, what they did, what they said, what they might say, what they might do. And then mixed into that is this interpretation. That really leads most of your feeling, because our interpretations make us think like, oh yeah, we're going the right way. This is good. I'm good. Or they make us think like, okay, I trust life. I hate life. Your meaning generally comes from who you think you are. You dress up the events outside with the meaning. And the meaning is, do you think that you're living out a story of disempowerment? Do you think that you're living out a story of adventure, discovery, healing, warriorhood? You might not know, because you've always lived out of that viewpoint. And that's why it's helpful to have somebody who's good at listening and that you trust reflect back to you what is invisible in your story, because you've always been saying it. So once you have the events and your interpretation and the meaning all kind of swirling together, then it comes back to you. Kind of like I was saying, is this good for B? Is this bad for B? Am I going to be okay? Am I your you level? And then there's probably, depending on your level of healing and self-mastery, an interpretation of all these things. So your question set, your thoughts could come from any of these places. And you're not asking your questions out loud inside. They're not really articulated. I'm talking our lower level sort of background thinking, anxious, depressive thinking. You're trying to figure out a way to feel better, generally. And you might be doing that by interacting with information on any of these levels. Are you doing this consciously? You might be. But even then, I would bet that there's greater clarity you could have by asking yourself, what question am I answering with my thoughts? Like, just get in there and ask you. You're probably not asking questions that make you feel very empowered or good. And that's okay. That's okay. But when you're ready, after you kind of explored where you are and what you're asking from and seen if there's anything that you can use or need from it, you can put this down. And instead, think about the end state. Let's say you discover that what you're trying to figure out is a set of circumstances that would make you feel confident. You would then ask questions that started at confidence. If I was confident, what would that feel like? If I was confident, what would I do? In that world where I'm confident, what kind of choices am I making? What are ways that I'm talking about myself? How am I interacting with other people? Take yourself to the end state and then cue it up. If I was worthy of a relationship, if I didn't have attachment issues, talk from there in your head. It gives you the opportunity to zoom out and see if any of this meaning, any of these ways you're interpreting what is, limits your options forward. Because remember, this is about choices ultimately. That's what constitutes the quality of your life, the choices you make inside and the choices you make outside. But you might not see there's another choice to make, because meaning basically runs right out of your suitcase and jumps on whatever's happening. This can keep you imprisoned for no reason. If you're interested in more content like this, you can go to theselfhug.com. I've got oodles. You can also work with me. I've been working with clients since 2016 to help them unlock